Welcome to the Utah PTA Pulse Podcast. Nope, no thump today.
You stopped. That's it.
I'm Mike Williams. I am the communications director.
Do we need to start over?
No, this is awesome.
We're going with it.
A little late here. And to my right, your left is?
I'm Angelee, the Family Life Commissioner.
And I'm Cammy Whitchurch, the Community Engagement Commissioner.
Tonight we're talking about, today, whatever time you're listening to this, 3 a.m. this morning, we're talking about
Procedure books.
procedure books. But first, we will start with a question.
What is the worst seat on an airplane?
Oh, I know.
Just shout it out.
Oh, it's that back seat at the very, very back of the plane that can't recline
recline.
because there's a wall.
There's no space.
Yeah. How do I know that?
Oh, yeah.
Because I've sat in it for like 6-hour flight. Well, that wasn't 6 hours.
I'm a good sleeper, so I was on a 14-hour flight. I slept for like 8 hours of it. We were like, didn't you feel the turbulence? There's turbulence.
What? Like that was just like rocking me to sleep.
I don't know. But when I'm awake, I'm pretty nervous flying.
So you were glad you slept through.
Yes, I was so glad to sleep through it.
Yeah.
I don't know if there's I would say, yeah, I agree with you. Where you can't lean back. I never had that though.
Yeah, I've never sat there either.
It's rough.
Yeah, and luckily, and I think we all can agree, we're not tall people. I feel bad for tall people.
Mm-hmm.
With long legs.
Yes,
Yeah.
and they're like, "Oh, my knees touch the back of the seat." I'm like, "Really?
I'm like,
I've got like 8 inches here."
I think if it gets any shorter, mine will. So that means that it's really small. You really cram you in there. Well, and have you seen those renderings of like maximizing space on an airplane? So you have like double.
You have the double decker.
Oh, yeah, that's so
It
crazy.
gives me claustrophobia. I would not be able to ride that plane.
I would be okay. It's just the person who's sitting above in front of you, their bottom side is right there, and I just think that's all a little awkward.
What if they fart?
Exactly. If there is any gas passed, I'm going to be the first to smell it.
Maybe it's closed off. That was my thought. Is it like
could be.
fully closed off?
It could be
I don't
closed
know.
off. Yeah.
Yeah, they just better not do that, or I will not be flying. I'll bike, train.
Bike it.
So bike it to Wisconsin.
My bike.
We'll drive.
We'll drive, train, bus, something else. Boat.
With Cammy's bike with us.
I think I'm gonna ride for a little while. I'm not a good bike rider. Christina would be disappointed in me. I get saddle sore pretty fast.
I can't remember the last time I rode a bike. I feel like it was kind of recently, but
But you don't remember.
no.
Do you have a worse seat on the flight?
I mean, I don't know. I
Yeah.
don't really care. I
Yeah,
mean,
me
some
neither.
people say the middle, but I've never been like squished in the middle, so I don't. I think the middle would be bad if you were like squished and with people you didn't know.
I'm kind of paranoid. I don't really choose my seats, but I really love it when I'm over the wing because that's the safest place of a plane. So when you crash, you're more likely to live there, but most likely you'll die.
I mean, and supposedly riding in a plane is safer than riding in a car.
It is much safer. So much safer.
Yep.
I guess I'll just get an airplane.
You know, just
I wonder if it's safer than riding a bike. It's probably not. It's probably safer to ride a plane than to ride a bike.
Is it safer to ride a bike or ride in a car, though? I mean, in Utah, it's definitely not safe to ride a bike.
No. And you should not be riding a bike in the dark in black clothes without any reflection or
Seriously.
light.
Or walking.
Yeah.
Statistically speaking, flying on a plane is significantly safer than biking.
Yeah, I believe that.
I mean, especially in the state of Utah, I feel like every time I see a biker and I see a car next to it, I'm like, that's so scary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you have to be a very defensive bike rider.
All right. Well, today
Okay.
we're talking about procedure books. Have you ever heard of one before?
Get one.
You need one. If you haven't done one before, we're going to educate you on what a procedure book is. Now, what is it, Cammy?
So a procedure book just kind of walks you through. It can be for, a position. So you've got positions that tell you exactly what the position does throughout the year and things you're in charge of. If you have a procedure book for like a specific activity, then it would tell you what's been bought in the past, how much was spent, who's on the committee. So it just kind of walks you through, gives you all the details so that you are prepared to do or carry out what you need to.
So let's talk about like Red Ribbon Week. That's going to be,
Mhm.
Let's talk about what we would put in a procedure book for Red Ribbon Week. So let's think about that.
Okay, so first thing I would suggest to people is if you go to utahpta.org, now I can pull that up. You can just search, or you can just put in the search procedure manual. I think sometimes that's the easiest way to navigate the site is just go to the little
Yeah, I just searched procedure book and the whole thing comes up.
and there's a whole section on procedure books. There's some links at the bottom to some
That was a
resources,
really nipple.
some little guides. So procedure notebook just kind of walks you through. If you open that one, I've got so many tabs open here. I apologize.
We had a lot of meetings today.
Yeah. But that one just talks about, why have a procedure book? And it tells you, it's, you can pass it along. It's things that you've learned. So rather than reinventing the wheel every year, having, you've got a new person over Red Ribbon Week, for example, they can learn from the people who've served on it in the past, things that have worked, kind of setting up a budget. Like a procedure book when you're trying to put your budget together is a huge help. Because you're not just guessing, well, how much are we going to spend on it? You can go to the previous one and go, well, last year we spent this is what we did. And you can really put together a really good budget because your budget really should be within about 10% of, what's the word I'm looking for? You need your budget to be within about 10% of what you budget. Does that?
Well, and here's a question you could answer. Did you feel you had an adequate budget? So if you could be like, no, like we didn't have a budget for X, Y, and Z, you could put that in there too. Or if you're like, oh yeah, we were budgeted $1,000 and we only spent $300, that would be good to know too.
Yeah. So you can adjust your budget. Or things that you forgot, like we were talking earlier in our gratitude episode that, budget in your appreciation, your thank yous for your volunteers and for those that have helped you with the activity. If it's in there, then it's really easy to remember to put it in your budget.
And I feel like it should just be like a checklist of the activity too. Like put it in your budget and then put it like, if you have like an event checklist, these are the things you need to do. Like put it on there too so that you have the money for it, but then you can like say you did it too. I know I need a checklist. And sometimes it sounds like weird to say like a person is a checklist. They're not a checklist to me, but I need the checklist to get it done.
Yep.
If that makes sense.
Just helping you to know. And, now at this time of year, as people are putting together their nominating committees and getting ready to fill some of those positions, if you have in your procedure book, those job descriptions and kind of what's expected of them, it's easier, I think, to fill that position when they can look at it and go, oh, this is what I'm expected to do, and this is what they have to help me with that. I mean, if you had a whole procedure book and they walk in and go, yeah, I'll do that, like, it's all laid out for me here. I know exactly what I need to do.
Yeah.
There may be a few tweaks here and there, but it makes filling your positions easier if they know what they're doing.
Yeah, and so if we're talking about Red Ribbon Week, if your nominating committee can fill extra positions and they're trying to fill someone for a Red Ribbon Week, it'd be easier to say, like, hey, this is, like, it's a week-long thing, this is what we're doing, this is, like, we have everything for you, than being like, it's a week-long thing, make it up, figure it out, see ya. No one really wants to sign up for that,
No, like, you can do it. And I think sometimes people think when you say you can do whatever you want is, like a nice thing. But I think in my situation, I like that guide and that help, even if I do want to change it.
I always like the guide, and then you can change it.
Yep.
I'm like, okay, I need to be guided in a direction, and then I can be like, oh, this works, this doesn't work. But I'm like that when I cook too. I like see the recipe and I'm like, I'll just make it a little better or worse.
Yes, exactly. So, let's see, what was I going to bring up?
So on the PTA website, on the, like when you search procedure books, one of the things, like, so Cammy was sharing some examples of the attachments, and it says the last one's called Your Time is a Gift to Us summary example. And so I clicked on that, and this is kind of like where it asks you a lot of questions, like who served on your committee. So the things we've talked about, but if you're looking for those things, that's what it's called on the website. Like how many people attended, how much did the event cost, did you feel you had adequate budget, how was the event advertised, how many volunteers did you have, what'd you do to get volunteers, and if you think there's things that, like, if you're like, man, we did a fun run this year and it failed because of X, Y, and Z, I think that's important to put in too. You know, so that the next person, if they're considering a fun run, it's not that they can't do it, but they could be like, oh, okay, let's fix these things. Mike, have you ever been given a procedure book in any of your callings in your
my callings? No.
PTA positions?
Actually, no. And what I was thinking about is, so you said like Red Ribbon Week, and then you said like for nominated committees to tell people, hey, this is kind of what it's for. Book fair. If you have somebody that's over book fair, they're not necessarily elected person to do it. Maybe you have a book fair committee, right? A committee specialist or a specialist. And when I was president at the local level and we were trying to get people to join, I had a list of things for the year, like spelling bee, book fair, the Red Ribbon Week, and people would always be like, so what do I do in that? I don't know. But it's only like a week long. And then what about spelling bee? We've never done one yet, but I really want to do one. And I did find someone that did it, and it was way more intense than any of us thought it was going to be. But those are things that would have been nice if we had a procedure book. That way we could, at back to school night, that's when we were like, hey, you should join the PTA. Well, what can I do? This is the spelling bee. What does that consist of? Here's the procedure book. And then they could look it over. Oh, I could do that. Or, oh, well then here, can you do this or that? Or if you had procedure books, it would make it so much easier to explain to people. So I wish I had it.
And we're all guilty of not having them.
Oh, yeah.
So don't feel like you're being like reprimanded if you don't have one, because we're all guilty of not having them. But we're all going to go into this new year and make our procedure books.
Yep. Well, and you don't have to go through the whole year and try and remember things necessarily right now. Go with the next activity or the one that you just finished. And while it's still fresh and you've still got those receipts accessible and stuff, go through what was successful and, plan it right into your meetings. I know a lot of times the information's there in your minutes. All you have to do is transfer it.
That's true.
Because
it
I know
is in your minutes.
A lot of times people have like a report after the activity, but I'm like, write it down, put it somewhere so that someone else can see it again.
I'm glad you said that, because if I went back to our minutes, that's a lot of our minutes is, oh, how was the spelling bee? And they listed out, and what did you do? And this. Oh, that could help a lot.
So if you did want to go back and start one, you could go to your minutes and your budget and probably figure it out from there. But if you don't want to, that's a lot of work that I don't know if some people want to do.
We'll just start now.
Yep, just start now and do it.
And you can keep them a few different ways. Cammy and I were looking on the website, and one of the examples says to get a binder. Most of us probably aren't going to go get a binder. I mean, you can if you want, but most of us are probably going to make like a Google Drive and put folders on there. So you could make, your PTA Google Drive and have like the Red Ribbon Week section and the book fair section and the whatever events you do sections.
Yep. And then you can share them with the people that are going to need them.
That's the beauty of Google Drive, is that you can share it, and then, if you're not president anymore, you can just transfer the ownership to the next president and so on and so on, or just to your, most of the schools in my area have for my school example, it's like the Liberty Hills PTA, so everything's on that drive. So
I'm going to give a little shout out for Andrea and Givebacks. Givebacks has that same ability, and that way you're not trying to be like, okay, I need to share this drive and we need to change passwords. And who has the password? I don't know who has the password. But if you have a Givebacks login, which every school does, then you can just store all your files in there.
That's a good point. That's something that, we
A lot of people don't
remind
think of
people
doing.
of. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that a lot. That's a good reminder.
One-stop shop.
One-stop
Maybe
shop.
we'll have to have Andrea come on and
Oh, we definitely
show
need
us
to
how to
have-
access that.
Nobody will hear this, but we're recording this the day before Andrea's doing Practical PTA, December 5th, 8 p.m. Practical PTA Givebacks, but you can watch the recording.
Yeah, it'll be over. You can watch it.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll make sure that she covers how to maybe put your procedure book in there.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Let me write that
I'll
down.
be prepared to ask her that.
I'm going to write it down.
Okay.
I have to write everything down. I can't remember it. And even
Yeah.
then, I still can't remember it.
Yep. Yep.
Sorry.
Some of the things.
How complicated should it be? Like, should you have it lists long, or could you have two procedure books? Like, this is the summary of it, procedure book. Maybe at the top, like,
Or maybe just.
how should it look? I mean, I'm looking at our procedure book, and it's, bullet point 1, A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, L.
Yeah.
Bullet 2, A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
Well, I think it's going to depend on the event. Because I think, like, if we're talking about Red Ribbon Week still, you could have a summary of, like, what Red Ribbon Week is.
Yes.
And then be like, these are the factors of Red Ribbon Week you could consider when planning your Red Ribbon Week.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it would be good to put, like resources. Oh, by the way, you could go to the Utah PTA website and look up Red Ribbon Week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and, like, some schools, like, I know my kids' school, they've, for White Ribbon Week, they've bought a program a few times. And so now we just have access to that program. So it's like, hey, we already have purchased these 3 programs. Like, we have the stuff for it to do it again.
Yeah.
And those are things people sometimes don't know, right? There's a program for this. We can budget for a program for $200 that shows us how to do it. And if that program exists, but the next person takes over and doesn't have that, and the whole PTA is changed, nobody knows that was a thing.
Mm-hmm.
So that's procedure book is so nice. And should you update it, or who's
Yes.
updating it?
Well, and in your standing rules,
Who is updating it?
Yes.
I would have in your standing rules how it's being updated. Maybe it's something that the executive committee is only one that updates it, but the information comes from the committee chairs. So you don't have people coming in and deleting a lot of important stuff for later things. So I would put in your standing rules who is in charge of updating it, and whether you're going to release that over to the chairs and give them access, or whether that's something that you feel like should be kind of controlled a little bit more.
I really love this form. You could just give it to the person that's over the activity at the end, and then you could have all that info compiled.
You could even transfer it to a Google form.
Yeah.
Where is
I would
this
fill out a
form, and
Google
what is
form.
this
So
form
it's
called?
on utahpta.org. You Google procedure books, and then it's called Your Time is a Gift to Us Summary Example.
Yeah, all 3 of those. Are
Yeah, they're all
really
actually good.
valuable.
There's the committee procedure notebook and the sample end of year summary.
Yeah.
They all work great. You can do them all at different times for different things.
Mhm.
Um,
Well, and some of the things, so in the committee procedure notebook one, it talks about things that you maybe want to put in your procedure book. So your bylaws and your standing rules, that's where they would go.
yep.
Yearly goals, and I love this. We've kind of had conversations about goals before, but sit down at the beginning of the year with your PTA and write down some goals, and then you can tailor those activities to are you meeting those goals that we set?
I love that.
Some of the other things, your local unit's leadership. So I think this is so helpful. So a place where people can access, who's over what, how do I contact them, and descriptions of the committees, having a calendar, especially some of these activities. I know for book fair, like you have to book your book fair quite a ways in advance, usually, if you want to get a specific date.
Yep.
I know a lot of people like to
Right.
try and coordinate it with parent-teacher conferences, and so those dates fill up really, really fast. And so if you have in your, procedure book, you need to book this with so and so by such and such a date if you want to go with this company. Like that should be in there on your calendar so that you're kind of watching for that. That's where your budget would be, your board list, your volunteer list, which, I mean, how great would that be to have past people that have helped out on that committee and whether they're willing to come back and help again. Your membership list, council and region contacts, like there's even why PTA stuff in here and the value of PTA. Let's see. So yeah, did I say bylaws already? I think I did. So just, yeah, it's that resource. It's kind of that, you've got your handbooks and then your procedures. So if you have all of those together, you pretty much can run, I think, a pretty smooth PTA.
That's cool.
And it definitely feels like way less overwhelming when you're the person that's like stepping up to something they've never done before.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you're like, oh, okay, I can do this.
I mean, worst case scenario, you just follow it exactly like they did.
Exactly.
It and, you know, do what they did, and at least you know it's probably going to work out at least the same way,
Yeah.
if not a little better. So, yeah.
I love that.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I feel like they're just so important because PTA, we're constantly getting new people, which is great. That's the beauty of PTA, is that we do like to have new people and to build leadership in others. But if we're not giving them anything to work with, they might not want to come back.
Right.
No.
They're like, nope, don't like that.
People don't typically like to invent the wheel or reinvent the wheel, especially if the work's already been done. Well, and another thing that you can remember is, you know, maybe talk to a local PTA, another local, if you find out, you know, they did a spelling bee. So talk to that PTA. Do you have a procedure, you know, do you have procedure books that go over what we did? Because what a valuable resource to have another school be able to share. And sometimes it's not always an exact transfer over and it's going to work just as well, but to have that base, I think, is huge.
Yeah.
I was just thinking it'd be nice if maybe PTA presidents, when they go to their councils, they could have a procedure book and maybe share ideas. Like, what are you doing in this school? Because as a council president, it is fun to go to other schools and they're doing it ways, and I go, oh, this school doesn't do it that way. And how did you guys do this? And why are you doing it this way? Are you doing this? And no, we don't do that. Well, we do this, or they do that. And there's so many really good ideas out there that we should share at a council level, even to spread the word. So anyway,
Yeah.
I love councils.
Mm-hmm. Well, just that
I do
sharing of
too.
ideas, the more, information is power.
Yeah.
And the more that you can collaborate with other PTAs, I think it will help a lot.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I was thinking of an activity that we started at my school a few years ago, our entrepreneurial market. And so we were starting a new program at our school. So we obviously didn't have a procedure book, and no one in our area had done one before. So we tried to research like some of the other ones that were that had been done, but like a little bit farther away from us. But we're still doing the event. I think this was the 4th year of the event, 3rd or 4th year, I don't know. But we've kind of been like, okay, this is what we've learned, this is what we've changed because this didn't work very well, or this works really well, so don't change this part. And it's been kind of fun to build on it, and I feel like the next person in charge could be feel really good about it because it's they have all this information about it, and this is tried and true, this is horrible, this is
It's a way to set your PTA up for success, I
yes,
think.
definitely. So we're all going to repent and make our procedure books.
Well, just make it a part of your meeting minutes.
Yeah,
or your meeting agenda. Just we're going to work on our procedure book for this.
So you guys mentioned standing rules. I know this isn't part of the podcast, but can you explain what standing rules are? Because I don't have those either.
Yeah.
So standing rules are kind of the way each PTA does things. We all have the same basic bylaws, and those are the things that we have to follow. But there's some things that PTAs do that are specific to their PTA. So, for example, one of the standing rules at my school is that the school play or musical review or whatever we choose to do, the ticket sales fund the next year. So that's one thing that's in our standing rules. It's just
Cool.
something our PTA does.
Yeah. Or like who has access to the procedure book? You know, you would want
Yeah.
to write in, you know, we're only going to allow editability to the executive committee, but everyone can view so those would be things that your PTA, I mean, you would vote on them as a PTA. You don't just sit down and have one person like write
Right.
up all these standing rules. It has to be voted on.
So standing rules are like a right below bylaws. Kind
Yeah.
of thing.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I
more
would say
for
it's
your
like
school.
I would say it's like a procedure book for your school
That's cool.
and how your PTA runs, because they can't put every single situation in the bylaws because not
Right.
every school is going to have that. So they put like the basics and the things that we have to do like by law because of our 501(c) status, C3.
C3.
504,
501c3.
C3.
Yeah.
I'm like
504, 50.
C3. That's the one we are. 501c3. So they can't put everything in there, but so you can do that yourself, like how.
Well, that's good to know. I don't know anyone listening, but it would have been nice to know because, you know, does the PTA at my school, do we pay for T-shirts or is it the school that's paying for the T-shirts? So every year it's who pays for those T-shirts? And then I remember I sat with another school. I talked to the principal and her SCC chair, and yeah, we were just chit-chatting, and she was like, so who puts on this? Is it the PTA or the school? And the principal, it was her first year there, she's like, I don't know. Is it the school that puts it on? And then the SCC chair, she's like, well, I just joined the PTA, and the PTA says that it's the school that does it. And then the principal, she's like, I think it's a PTA thing. So nobody knew, because this thing has been going on for years, but it became a tradition, but nobody had any idea who's doing what. So the standing rule sounds like a great idea.
Well, and your standing rules can never be in conflict of your bylaws. Your bylaws always trump your standing rules. So don't like go into your standing rules and try and like supersede your
A
bylaws.
quorum is 5 people.
So
At our
that's
PTA
something to
it
keep in
is.
mind. Like they have to be in compliance of your bylaws.
That's
Yeah.
cool.
I know most people don't run into problems with that, but
Yeah.
sometimes.
But it's nice to know
But
if you have it.
you do need to be aware of your bylaws so that your standing rules aren't
Yep.
in conflict. So
That's cool.
read your bylaws.
Definitely read your bylaws,
Mhm.
like more than once.
Bylaws, standing rules, procedure books. Get those put together.
Yeah.
I served on a nominating committee this last spring, and my job basically was to consult the standing rules and the bylaws. Like, so we'd be talking about a situation. I'm like, hold on, let me read.
Yeah. Yep. Very valuable.
Yeah.
I think they can be changed. So if you have something in there that later you're like, oh, this really isn't working for us, you can change them.
Mm-hmm.
So just have to have a general meeting, right? They're changed to.
Yep.
Yeah.
And you're supposed to have at least 3 of those a year. In case you didn't know.
Per the bylaws.
Per the bylaws.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you, bylaws.
Yep.
We do love our bylaws.
Yeah.
They guide us in a good direction.
Well, and most of your answers, like, they're
They're
in the
the
bylaws,
bylaws.
and you don't realize it. And you're like, oh, that really is there. Okay. So read them, study them, know them.
Mm-hmm.
They're valuable. So yeah. Anything else you guys wanted to talk about as far as procedure books?
No, we encourage everyone to do them. And like I said, we're not perfect at it. We're going to all get better. But we're going to do them so that all PTAs can be successful. That's the goal.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I
To
love
make
it.
every child's potential a reality by engaging and empowering families and communities to advocate for all children.
Great job.
I was looking.
You know, I can say it from memory until I have to say it.
Oh, yeah.
And then I don't know why.
So we did
Sorry.
what we called podcasting on the streets.
Oh, yes.
We haven't released it yet, but we went to downtown Salt Lake and we asked people questions about PTA and the mission, and it was really fun. But oftentimes I would ask the question, like, do you know our mission? Do you want to hear our mission? And I'd be like, the mission is...
The mission is...
Someone get me started.
What is it, you guys? so funny. It's like you know it, but
And you'd get it backwards, to engage, empower
something
students, families,
Got it.
schools.
Families.
All those
You get-
things.
Yep.
Love it. All right.
Okay.
I think it's good. Maybe
Procedure
we should
books.
say if you have started your procedure book and you share your first procedure, we'll give you a
We get a
water bottle.
prize.
Yeah, we could give them a prize. Everyone that
Yeah.
reaches out and sends us their first procedure, activity or job description.
Yeah, leave
Or-
some comments. I'm checking on the podcasts online, and so far no comments. Come on, people, I need
That's
some
so
comments.
sad.
Leave a comment. We want to see your procedure books. So if you share that or share,
You'll
maybe
get
you
a
already have 'em.
special podcast prize.
Yeah, maybe we'll do podcast water bottle stickers.
Oh, yeah.
We could do that.
When we have lots more money, maybe we'll do T-shirts.
Right now we're still.
And we'll
low
get a
budget.
T-shirt can and we'll
I know. I
shoot
wish we
it.
could give you guys some water bottles.
Oh, that would be fun to convention.
or some water.
Yeah.
I might have to do that. I might
Let's
have
save
to
our
figure
money
out-
for
yeah.
that.
But I could do some water bottle stickers. I have it in my budget.
All right.
I'll even mail it. I can pay for the postage.
Good job.
That would be so awesome to get a regular piece of mail that's not a bill or junk mail.
Yeah. Oh, and we'll do it for your whole board? Not
Whoa.
whole PTA, maybe the whole board.
Your executive committee.
Executive committee.
Executive committee.
And the person that's over the event that you're doing.
Do we say like 10 stickers?
10 stickers, that's
Okay,
it.
we're
10.
going to do 10. We can negotiate if you need to.
And if you comment and I don't notice it, email me, Michael at utahpta.org. Hey, go look at this.
Okay, I hope I get to send out some stickers. Hopefully I don't have to use my whole budget on the stickers.
700 stickers.
I would actually love that because that means that people were watching our podcast, right?
That's right.
That means
Yes.
we're successful. So,
Okay, love it.
okay.